Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to lesson 10.5. We're problem solving using time intervals. So, one of the things I wanted to say is that remember in class we would have our binders out a lot of the times when we did math. I have some pieces of paper here to show my work because there's not a ton of room for today's lesson. So a reminder, it's kind of a nice way to stay organized if you use a separate piece of paper so you don't feel so smushed. All right, here we go. Zach and his family are going to New York City. Their airplane leaves at 9:15 a.m. So I underlined that. Very important. They need to arrive at the airport 60 minutes before their flight. It takes 15 minutes to get to the airport, and the family needs 30 minutes to get ready to leave. At what time should Zach's family start getting ready? So really try to apply this to your life. Some of you have been on planes into the airport before, and I want you to visualize. That makes math easier. So what we know from this is that the flight is leaving at 9:15. That's when we have to be on the plane, ready to go. That's our end time. All right? Now, this is the time of things that are going to have to happen before, okay? They're going to spend 60 minutes. They need to be there 60 minutes before the plane takes off, right? There's tons of stuff you have to do. You have to put your bags through security. You have to go to that kiosk thing, They need 15 minutes to get to the airport. They must live 15 minutes away, and then they need 30 minutes in the morning to probably get their bags in the car and everything ready. So 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and 60 minutes have to happen before that plane takes off. What do I need to find? I need to find what time Zach's family should start getting ready, also known as the start time. We know the end time. We need to know the start time. What information do I need to use? Well, I need the time the airplane leaves, the time the family needs to arrive at the airport, the time it takes to get to the airport, and the time the family needs to get ready. That's all of these right here. And we're going to use the number line model. So I know my end time. I don't know my start time, but they gave me my end time, which is when the plane takes off, and that's 9:15. I jumped back an hour, which is 60 minutes, because that's the amount of time they need to be at the airport, getting their bags ready, doing all that. Then I jump back 15 minutes. That's their ride to the airport. Remember, it says it takes 15 minutes to get to the airport. And then I jump back 30 minutes because that's the amount of time it took for them to get ready at their house in the morning. When I jump back 60 minutes from 9:15, I go to 8:15. Right? 1 hour before 9:15 is 8:15. I jump back the 15 minutes to get to 8, and then I jump back 30 minutes to get to 7:30. And so they should start getting ready at 7:30 a.m. Okay. Bradley gets out of school at 2:45 p.m. It takes him 10 minutes to walk home. Then he spends 10 minutes eating a snack. He spends 8 minutes putting on his soccer uniform, and it takes 20 minutes for Bradley's father to drive him to soccer practice. At what time does Bradley arrive at soccer practice? So we have our information, and we have all of these minutes that I circled that we're going to be using here. Okay, so what we need to find is what time Bradley arrives at the soccer practice. This is what we know. We know the time that should be he, gets out of school. We know the time it takes to walk home, eat a snack, and get dressed. And how will I use it? I'm going to use a number line to show when she gets to school to when she arrives at soccer practice. That's kind of the whole line here. When she gets to school to when she arrives at soccer practice. Or when she gets out of school, sorry. So we know that she gets out of school at 2:45. That is what we're given. She's out of school. That's basically our start time here. We know that it takes 10 minutes to walk home. So that brings us to 2:55. Another 10 minutes to eat a snack. That brings us to 3:05. 8 minutes to put on the uniform. That's 3:13. 5 plus 8 is 13. And then 20 minutes to drive there. Brings us to 3:33. So at what time does Bradley arrive at soccer practice? 3:33 p.m. And number 2 is asking, how do you know this is reasonable? Well, you could say I used my starting time and I added the time increments, right? 10 plus 10 plus 8 plus 20 to find my end time, which is when she arrives at soccer practice. That's what we want to know. All goes back to this right here. Your question in the problem. Okay. Patty went to the shopping mall at 11:30 a.m. She shopped for 25 minutes. She spent 40 minutes eating lunch, and then she met a friend at a movie. At what time did Patty meet her friend? I put a star here. That's a really weird looking star, but I was very passionate about this. This is another tricky one. I think numbers 1, 2, and 3 are the hardest in this packet. Number 4 we are not doing. I mentioned that in the Zoom class today. No number 4. Okay, so let's break this down. I underlined my important information here. When she arrived at the mall, when she went to the mall, which was our starting time, 11:30, and how much she spent doing things, how much time. First, begin with 11:30 on the number line right here. Then count forward 25 minutes and then 40 minutes and see where we end up. So here's 11:30. I'm going to count 25 minutes ahead, and that brings me to 11:55. The reason I didn't just jump 40 was so I made it easier for myself. And think about it. 40 is the same exact thing as 5 plus 35, and you can break apart your number line, whatever's easiest for you. So I wanted to get to 12 o'clock because that's an easy number to add with. So I went from 11:55, I added 5 to get to noon. And in order to get to 40 minutes, I'm going to add another 35. And that brings me to 12:35. So that is the time she met her friend. All right, number 2. What if Patty goes to the mall at 11:30 and meets a friend at a movie at 1:15? So now her day is building up. She's got a lot of plans here. Patty wants to shop and have 45 minutes for lunch before meeting this friend. So how much time can she spend shopping? Tricky one here. So I have this to kind of show you the process. Let me cover this so I'm not getting all confused here. So what I do know is that she gets to the mall at 11:30. That's like your start time. We're given that information. Okay, so I know that she has 45 minutes for lunch. Instead of just jumping